This is Irish Illustrated's One Question, Two Analysts, 3 minutes. And our question today is, how much criticism directed toward Notre Dame offensive line coach Jeff Quinn is warranted?
Well, it's hard to pinpoint, obviously, when we are in June, because if you end up with Rocco Spindler and ended up with John Alt's son, who's going to someday, he's a tight end moving to tackle, that's a good class all of a sudden. You'll have brought in Baker, Carmody, Fisher, Spindler, Coogan, and Alt. You're still in a numbers game, though. When you get to the year before and the year previously, you're kind of down to two that are going to be in the fifth year class. When these guys come in, you're in a numbers game where everyone has to hit, and they're not all going to hit. So it becomes about who you miss on, not just who you hit on.
Yeah, the number situation on the interior has become a bit of a problem, and you're right. When Luke Jones leaves and John Olmstead is probably not going to ever be a factor for you. And then you only bring in two last year, although two really good ones, especially Blake Fisher. But the numbers are hurting them. Now, as far as on the field, I want to talk about that real quickly because, he takes over a line that loses McGlinchey and Nelson. You're going to take a step back. They were an inexperienced offensive line going in to last year. My point being, no excuses now. You have everything that you need in 2020. And so let's judge Jeff Quinn on the field in 2020. You have 6 starters returning. The recruiting part of it needs to continue to be addressed. And you've got to get 4. You have to get Rocco Spindler. He's a 5-star offensive guard. If you're just rating guards, he's a 5-star guard. You have to get him. But the numbers are definitely a concern.
But, Tim, I think as you give rightfully 2018 a bit of a pass, look, they're a playoff team. We said middle of the season they're a playoff team whose problem is the offensive line once Alex Bars got hurt, and that proved to be the case against Clemson. As you give them a little bit of a pass in 18, you have to go the other way, grading on a curve in 2020, and they have to be a legitimate Joe Moore finalist. Like in 2018, they were Joe Moore finalists because they won it the year before. It had nothing to do with what was going on. They should be one of the top 5 lines in the country. There's no excuse. They should play well against Wisconsin. They should keep their team in the game against Clemson. They shouldn't be the reason they lose these games.
No, totally agree with you. And I do want to point out that for whatever criticism was directed at him the year after McGlinchey and Nelson left, they did go to the playoffs. So
yes. Oh yeah. I don't think the offensive line was great that year, but they went to the playoffs.
And I know the defense had a lot to do with it, but still, your offensive line, you have an offensive line on the field that went to the playoffs. So I think, the criticism is harsh. I think some of it is warranted. Certainly the recruiting part is slipping from their grasp here now, in terms of talent and projects and numbers. But I think the real test for Jeff Quinn, as you say, you're right. I mean, that should be one of the best offensive lines in the country. No excuses, barring 3 of the 6, I guess, being injured.
From fifth-year seniors to redshirt freshmen, the top 9 are 4 stars, and they have a high 4-star freshman coming in, and they have 114 starts and 6 starters with experience. There is no one that wouldn't trade their entire offensive line lot for that. Any offensive line coach in the country just says, you get 9 4-stars, 6 of them have started many games, and most of them are seniors and fifth-year seniors. That's a remarkable starting point for a 2020. And then we have to see what happens beyond that.
That's Irish Illustrated's One Question, Two Analysts, 3 minutes.